Hey guys! So in this video, I'm going to show you how to take user input in Java. Taking input from the user is very useful because it makes the program interactive. It allows us to use data provided by the user. So remember that we talked about packages earlier. Packages are pre-written sets of code in Java that we can import in our code and use. Importing packages is basically just incorporating these packages in our code so that we can use the features that these packages offer. So, to take user input in Java, we need to import a package. This is because this package contains a pre-written scanner class, which is a class that we can use to take input from the user. So, let me show you how to take user input in Java using the scanner class from the scanner package. First, to import the java.util package, which has the scanner class, at the top here, write import java.util.scanner semicolon. Now we've imported the package that we're going to need. Now let's say that I want to write a program that asks the user what their age is and then uses that user input to print out a message that says you are blank years old. The blank would be determined by the number entered by the user. Now, the syntax for reading user input would be as follows. Scanner with a capital S, followed by scanner with a lower s, which is the variable name, is equal to new scanner system.in. On the next line, you would create a variable in which you're going to store the input that the user has entered. So you would write the variable name is equal to scanner with the lowercase s, which is the variable that you created in the previous line, followed by a dot, followed by a method. Now, this method is going to be a method from the scanner class. And this method is going to actually read the user input. So for now, let me give you two kinds of methods that you can use here. One method that you can use is next byte, followed by parentheses, because all methods are followed by parentheses. So you would use the next byte method in the syntax if the kind of input that the user is going to enter is some sort of a number. If the data type is some sort of a numerical value, then you would use the next byte method. Another method that you can use in the syntax is next line. If the kind of data that the user is going to enter is going to be of type string, then you can use this method. So if the user is entering a string, you would use next line in the syntax. So whenever you want to take user input in Java and read it, this is the syntax that you would follow. So let's go back to writing the program for taking the user's age and printing it out. So following the syntax I just showed you, I would write scanner with a capital S, which is the class name, followed by scanner with the lowercase s, is equal to new scanner parentheses system.in. Now I want to write the line of code that reads the input. Since the input that we're expecting the user to enter is a number, considering that age is a number, to read the input, I will write scanner dot next byte, followed by parentheses and a semicolon. Now, this line of code is going to read the input that the user enters, and it is expecting the input to be a numerical value. We could also write next line, but this line of code would be expecting a string value, and we are not going to store the age that the user enters as a string value because age is often expressed in a numerical value. So let's go back to next byte. Now, I want to store the data that the user enters in some sort of a variable. If not, the data will be lost. You should always store the user input in a variable. So I will store this input in a variable called age. So you can see that age over here is red because the computer is giving me an error. Why is this? Remember that in Java, you need to declare the kind of data that you're going to store in the variable before you write the variable name. And the kind of data that I am storing in this variable is byte. Usually, we would write something like int, double, or float, but when we're reading input, it's a little different. Just know that when you're using the next byte method to read input, the kind of data that you're storing in age is actually byte. Byte in Java stores numerical values, such as the data that is going to be entered in the variable age. So now, if the user enters any data, it will be stored in this variable. However, how will the user know when and where to store the data? It will be a little hard to identify that. So, I will print out a statement that tells the user when and where to enter their age. So, before the line that reads the input, I will write system.out.println enter your age : Now, when I run the code, you can see that it prints out enter your age, and the user will enter their age over here. And whatever data is entered over here will be stored in the variable age. And remember that the data has to be a numerical value because we're using the next byte method, which reads data in the form of numbers. Finally, what do we want to do with the data that is entered by the user? We want to print out the statement, your age is blank years. And remember that the blank is represented by the data that the user enters. So, let's print out the statement, your age is plus age, which is going to be the number that the user enters, plus years. So here's what this code is going to do. It's going to ask the user to enter their age. It's going to store whatever number the user enters in this variable age. Then it's going to print out the statement, your age is the number that the user entered, years. So when we run the code, it asks us for the age, and let's say that we enter the age as 20, and it prints out the statement, your age is 20 years. So this is how you can take user input in Java.